Hello, thank you for being with us with BNC. We are with Bernama today, Monday's edition.
That's right.
Bernama, welcome.
Yes, welcome back, Saini. How
Thank
was
you
your
very
Hari
much.
Raya break?
It was good. It was good. I went back to Kota Baru, my wife's hometown. But the travel back was killing because I was on the road for 18 hours. Imagine.
No.
Three quarters
You're kidding
of
me.
a day. No.
Are you
I wish
serious?
I were kidding you.
How did you and wife survive?
I think we breathe.
Okay. Really slow.
I tell you, man, it was
Okay.
like the first time was that bad. You know?
Right.
I mean,
My
I think it's just
goodness.
because of a lot of traffic. That's all.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But how was the traffic flow? Any accidents along
There
the
were
way?
no accidents actually. The ones
Really?
that I could see.
Oh wow,
but I
that's
guess-
wonderful. That's good to hear.
Because I thought I was being smart coming back on Tuesday or Wednesday when people have gone back.
That's
no,
right.
no, I was wrong.
Everybody had the same idea
Everyone
too.
had the same idea. So
All right.
great minds think alike.
Indeed, they do indeed. All right,
Okay.
so anyhow, we are thick in the middle of World Cup,
Right.
aren't we? So what games have you been watching and which teams have you been
Well, I've
rooting
been
for?
watching a lot of my favorite teams like
All right.
Argentina, England, and of course Brazil and all that. You know. So let's watch this funny slide. I mean, since we are talking on the football,
Right.
let's watch this funny slides.
Okay, check it out.
Okay, okay.
Oh my goodness.
Alright.
This is making fun of course,
Yeah.
the scores early on in
yeah.
the game.
Turn 1 and 2.
We're talking, of course, about the game between England and Tunisia.
Tunisia 2-1. So it's just a funny slide. Please don't take it against us.
Not at all.
Don't
You
hold
know,
it
a
against
little
us.
light-hearted humor.
But there's another one. And 6 Pan 1.
Wow.
That's Lim Gon
That's
Eng
right.
and Pan as in Pati Amana.
Goodness me.
But there
okay.
was no slide for that,
You
so
know
I
how we
just-
love our politics and especially mixing it in with
Yeah,
football.
yes.
There's always
Take it in
something
a
to
good-
go
you
around. Yeah.
Take it in a good light.
We shall. Okay, so of course, you can also catch us on these other
right.
channels, Astro 502, channel 631
Right.
on Unified TV, channel 121 on My TV,
That's right.
and Bernama.com if you're on the go.
Right.
Tweet at us, follow us on Instagram, on Facebook. Tell us what more you would like to see on Bernama today. We're on air live
Right.
4 times a week. And of course, Monday's edition, we're going to kick it off with a little bit more football.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, talking about football, I mean, people have been watching. Still, go and watch still football. We are still in the group stage, going to final 16 soon. But let's go ahead. I mean, we have other things to talk about. I think
That's right.
I'm being scolded here, but
All right, okay. So moving along from football into first news story for the day.
Right.
So in the spirit of national interest, Tabung Harapan as of 3 p.m. yesterday, we're at 92.6 million ringgit,
Right, thank
Zaini.
you. Congratulations to all Malaysians.
My
and
goodness
in
me.
that regard, there was one boy, a 12-year-old boy by the name of Ervin Devadasan.
So his story has been going viral,
Yeah,
right?
he just break his piggy bank.
So Irvin, of course, here pictured with his
Ervin.
parents.
Yeah, it was a small figure. I mean, it's 214 ringgit 60 cents, you know, to say the least. But then it's just spirit of it, I guess.
Exactly, it's
Right.
always the thought that
It's
counts,
always the
right?
thought.
So rather than buy himself a drum set, which little
That he was
Erwin
saving
had
up
been
for, yeah.
exactly
Right.
saving up for, he actually donated it to Tabung Harapan.
Yeah, he said he wants
Quite
to be
the example.
He wants to be a Malaysian, you know, because he had, I think, his aspiration for to be in politics. So I think that's what he said.
Okay,
But
start them young, right?
Start them
I
young.
think that's the
He
best.
got interested in politics with the PRU or with the GE14, as everybody else. You know,
Exactly.
you get politically conscious. So right now, you know, a 12-year-old in doing this. So what about you? Right?
Exactly. I think that we're going to pitch that question all the way to you. But moving along from there, Gerakan leaves BN, says decision unanimous according to the Central Committee. Wow, wow.
Because one
Now-
of the reasons they say was because they did not even contribute one to the to the BN coalition. They did not even get one seat.
That's right.
Right.
So henceforth, they felt that it was time to bow out.
Timely. So right now BN has 3 coalition parties, namely UMNO, MCA and MIC.
That's right.
BN has only 3 from the past 13 that they had.
Very true.
Right. But in that regard, I mean, UMNO is trying to rejuvenate itself.
Yes, it
by
is.
having their I think they had
Their party elections.
party elections last Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. So they have elected their Ketua Wanita,
That's right.
Ketua Pemuda, Ketua Putri.
That's right.
Ketua Wanita goes to Dr. Noraini. Ketua Pemuda went to Dr. Ashraf Washdi Dusuki. And Ketua Putri went to Zarik Khan, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Now,
that's
all that
Ashraf
remains,
Washdi.
of course, is the presidency.
That's right, presidency. So that's going to happen on 30th of June. Kari is going with Datuk Sri Zahid Amidi and Kuli from Gomusang.
That's right.
So it's going to be heated.
It's going to be a three-cornered fight this time around, so we'll know definitely by next edition of Monday on Bernama Today.
Right.
But anyhow, moving along from
Yeah.
there, Dr. M also revived Singapore water dispute while taking a swipe at President Trump. Wow.
Only John M can do that.
Exactly, 2 in 1, right?
Yeah.
Now, of course, Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad has revived the muscular foreign policy that
Right.
characterized his first stint in power,
Right.
seeking to renegotiate a long-standing water supply agreement with Singapore and taking shots at both US and China. So, in an interview with Bloomberg Television's Haslinda Amin, a 92-year-old Tun Dr. Mahathir criticized a 1962 water supply deal with Singapore as too costly, adding to tensions after he announced plans to cancel a multi-billion-dollar high-speed rail project that would have connected KL to the city-state and also a pet project of Singaporean
That's
premier.
right. People are talking whether this is, it's not Dr. M's strategy, because we are facing certain things with Singapore and now HSR. I mean, the 500 million penalty that's going to be put on us to back out from HSR. So, what Dr. M is bringing out an old issue, 1962, 64, long-standing issue of water being a very low tariff that we would like to revise, but never revised. I think a lot of support from US as well to support Singapore on this regard. So I guess
Which is why he's renegotiating and saying that, look, this is ASEAN.
Right.
ASEAN powers ought to be the ones which have, the mandate of the day. Not foreign superpowers.
Not foreign superpowers. Okay, with that, we're going to come back. We're going to come back after this commercial break with more news.
Stay tuned.
Be right back.
Hello and welcome back to Bernama Today
Yes.
with me, Tamina and Zaini
Zaini here.
on Monday's edition. So now we launch straight into a couple of international news stories of interest because we like to bring you a full roundup, Malaysia and otherwise.
Yes, in and out.
That's right. So big news up first is Turkey, Erdogan fireworks. Wow. Now,
Right.
why are we having fireworks in Turkey? Well, basically
Yes.
because President Recep Tayyip Erdogan won Turkey's landmark election on Sunday,
Yeah.
the country's electoral commission said.
That's right. Erdogan from AK party. They were talking that other parties will take over because they were having a coalition to fight him.
That's right.
Because a lot of things, a lot of detractors of Erdogan's, because he's a bit Islamic over there, but liberal Islamic. But they were trying to fight to oust him. But here he is again, and
That's
a lot
right.
of people are supporting. And if you have seen the videos about Erdogan, he's a very, very humble guy.
And also a charismatic speaker. Now, after
Right.
delivering a speech to thousands of supporters in Ankara, where he thanked those who voted, Erdogan and his wife Emin waved to the crowd as fireworks display erupted in the sky,
you go.
as you can see in the visuals that we're playing in the background.
Right, Erdogan is a very, very popular, charismatic leader, and he won Supreme Election Council 97.7% of the votes. That's a lot of. It's like majority. It's like 100% to me.
I think it completely superseded the Malaysian election turnout for
think so.
G14,
Yeah,
right?
He's been in power for so long, and people loved him.
He has, and he is going to have to bridge, whether or not Turkey is going to go more towards a fundamentalist stance or
Right.
more a liberal stance, especially with regards to governance.
Right, because I think Turkey plays a central role in Middle East because they play. It's like a balancing
It's geographical. It always
Right.
has been, right?
Yeah, because America is always looking to Turkey for direction. Because before it was Syria, but Syria is in a lot of disputes now.
That's
but
right.
Turkey is like neither here nor there, but they are balancing it out. So that's why a person of leadership there is very, very, very important.
Yeah,
All
true
right.
enough.
So,
Moving
we're
along
talking about
into
leadership, by example, or
exactly.
walking the talk.
So we move into Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who
Trudeau,
was
yeah.
recently fined $100 for not disclosing a gift of, get
Yeah.
this, sunglasses.
Yeah, I think it
Wow.
cost
I
only
think this just leaves Malaysians gobsmacked, seeing with what we have,
Right.
undergone in the past
That's right.
couple of, in the past month and counting.
Right.
Of the former leadership of Barisan Nasional, the
yeah.
leaders, and all the, confession, all of the possessions of theirs
Right.
actually being taken in by the police. This brings up a very interesting question.
Yes, even for it was mentioned it only cost him $300.
Right.
But the one that he has to disclose is if it exceeds $200. So he went $100 above.
Right, the
For
limit.
that, he was fined $100.
Perhaps Malaysia's it's time indeed for Malaysia to adopt a similar policy
Right,
to
but-
ensure that there's a lot of transparency
Right.
whereby it comes to gifts being given in
But
and out.
Atun did verbalize that our politicians right now
Right.
can only accept food, also flowers.
Right.
But it must be certain limit, I guess.
Definitely.
There might be 1,000 ringgit of flowers, so you must put a limit to what amount of flowers and food that can be, without being.
So caps
whatever.
everywhere, yeah,
It
and
should
that
be
definitely
capped.
keeps up the balance.
Right.
Right. Now moving along from there into President Trump and the mess which is occurring in America
yeah.
right now with regards to, of course, the border policy
Immigration.
and immigration. Yep.
I think lately that the issue that they have been separating the kids or the children from the parents or immigrants, this has been, I think, taken by the public that they are crying foul over this because there is no humanitarian grounds there.
Now, President Trump has been tweeting that quote-unquote zero tolerance is fair and gives preference to those who legally wait their turn. Now, in the meanwhile, while all of this has been going on, lots of American human rights activists and etc. have also been tweeting that whatever it is, this is not even a felony. And they gave an example of an African-American lady who was actually imprisoned 5 years for voting out of turn.
Seriously.
And looking at basically the abuses of human rights within the system. So it all goes against, and I think it all boils down to President Trump doing what he wants to, but there's definitely a very strong civil society voice.
Especially coming from a country that says that we are the human rights epitome or the climax of human rights, you see? I mean, it goes against the grain.
It really does.
Yeah, I mean,
while the country might not be performing at top notch as far as international and foreign policy goes, definitely you've got thousands of Americans, residents in particular, going down to Texas to the border to provide food, to provide medical relief, because the Red Cross has also been disallowed from providing this in the immediate time.
I think the people over there should see,
they're also standing up for what they believe
They are
in.
standing up.
That's right.
Yeah, okay. With that, we have to go for another commercial break.
That's right.
We'll be right back right after this with our tech analyst, Kirill Colbert.
More on the World Cup. Stay tuned.
That's right. Welcome back to Bernama today. My name is still Zaini Yuhi, and we're going to talk about the World Cup again. World Cup. I mean, we are going back to, I think we are going into the final 16 soon. But then again, is there any other way to watch World Cup rather than just the traditional media? That's where we're going to talk to our tech analyst, Kirill Colbert, or better known as Khairul Amin.
Yes.
Welcome. Selamat Hari Raya to you.
Sama-sama.
Okay. I mean, I watched it normal because we have on various medium, traditional medium.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
you're here to tell us the online medium that we can, enjoy the glorified. I mean, first of all, please, that is a bit biased. I mean, to me, you're a Neymar fan. I know, I'm an Argentinian and England fan, but I'm okay. I'll let you go this time.
Oh, I like Willian actually. And not,
You
not,
like
not a
Willian?
big- yeah, not
Oh,
a
you like
big-
Willian? Okay.
yeah.
Talking about the World Cup online, how do you see that?
Well, you see, we're moving into the digital spectrum now, whereby with every World Cup, the technology goes forward. Imagine 2 World Cups ago, there was no Facebook.
Yes.
That wasn't that long ago.
4 years ago, yeah?
8 years ago, yeah.
8
So
years
4
ago.
years ago, we still see trends. We can see how, the impact of World Cup is on the society at large. But we don't have any measurement, no statistics to show what's actually going on besides the football games. And it's very interesting that now, in hindsight, in the 2014 World Cup, we could see there was a lot of interesting data we could take. So, for example,
what's that?
the Germans in Germany were searching for 4 stars. And 4 stars meaning to say, anytime you win the World Cup, you'll get an extra star in your shirt. So they were, very ecstatic that they had won. So searches for 4 stars went up. When you look at things like, what did Argentina search for in the game?
Okay.
Just
2014, you mean?
Semi-final, yes.
Okay, yeah.
They were searching for how to pray.
Ah.
Not the national anthem, but they were
How to
they were
pray.
they were looking for things to recite during the game.
In the online.
Yes.
Okay.
So we see there's a
Different
correlation
kind of, yeah.
between football games and the general, the mass feeling in the country. So it's really interesting that I think now with with the internet being everywhere, for the first time we can watch World Cup anywhere. I think now mobile devices. You go to any mamak shop or you sit at home, you babysit, you can still watch.
Right.
We've had lots of ways to analyze.
Right.
There's highlights for free now. This is, I think, the first time that actually FIFA has released highlights that you can watch, without paying anything. So we're moving forward. I think it's a really interesting World Cup.
But
this
you do
time
have
around.
that you have provided as a chart of the top search players right now within the World Cup.
Yes, you can see actually
we're playing the slides right now, I think.
the search
There you go.
changes depending on the game. So if you see the certain group is playing, there will be a slight bias towards that. This was, for example, on June the 24th. But Lionel Messi is always very high up there.
Right.
Cristiano Ronaldo is very, very high up there, no matter who plays. I think because they're the the enigmatic players of this World Cup. We see a lot of interesting facts, statistics as well. I mean, if I would to ask you, who do you think is the favorite team of Malaysians? Because we're not in the World Cup yet.
Yeah.
Not. We
Yeah.
haven't made it that
No,
far
no,
yet.
no.
But what team do you think that the Malaysians root for when it comes to search statistics? Meaning to say, when we go onto Google and we search, okay, what is the most searched team in Malaysia?
You want me to guess?
Without looking at the screen, yes.
Okay, without looking. I think it would be Argentina and Brazil.
No, it's Tunisia.
Seriously?
Yeah, that's surprising, isn't
Maybe
it?
Tone in front.
Yeah, I think they tuned and then auto predict and it went into tune. But yeah, jokes
What
aside,
are we looking now? Yeah.
yeah, this is the map that shows the most searched team in every country. And I think only a few countries actually search for themselves. If you look at Brazil, of course, they look for Brazil. You know,
Yes.
Russia look for England. This is interesting. Sweden, my country, they look for Sweden. You know, so it's very interesting how to see where our affiliations lies.
What does that mean when you say you analyze all this quirks, you know, in the information? What
Yeah,
does
it
this mean
kinda
to
tells
maybe
us-
advertisers and all that?
I mean, you know, we can say who we support, but on a mass scale, like who do we actually support? And I think if you look at the statistics in terms of most searched team by the round in group play, Brazil, you know, had 11% of all the searches. Germany had also 11% of the searches. My second country, Russia, had 8%. Argentina, 8%. Spain and Portugal, 6%. So it's the top favorite teams. But I think this World Cup is all about the upset. You know, we can talk about things like, you know, can a computer predict who's going to win the World
Prediction,
Cup?
yeah.
You know, if we put all this data in, we see who's searching, who's trending, how is the previous World Cups been going? You know, fans travel far and wide just to
Yes.
get the glory of the World Cup.
The feel.
Yes, and can we skip the whole thing and just say, like, we're going to put a predictive system, get the computer to run lots of simulations, and can we get a winner? Very, very interesting. This particular World Cup, there was an agency that actually did this, and no matter how many times they run the analysis, they only had one winner.
Only one winner.
And again-
okay, for that, I think we'll pull up again the chart for the top search players, you know. Oh, those sorry, for the most searched team right now. Okay, you will
And
see
you know,
that.
that flag is almost not there. I mean, the prediction. So if you look at the flags there, I mean, you can see that it's either England's going to win it, Brazil, and for some reason there's a lot of countries that go with Tunisia.
But then
you know?
again, if you're saying that if you people search and that is the indication of the winners, then again, are you basing it on the real technical aspect
No,
of
but
it?
that's what I mean. Searches, that's just a consensus where our hearts lie. But in terms of who's actually going to win it, that's
Right.
very interesting. So are there any computer models to predict?
Right.
And I think a lot of times when online betting, even though it's illegal, I think they have employed computer models to sort of say, like, you know, the probability of this winning, this team winning is more than so and such.
Right.
Do we have predictive models today in the computer world to say to map human behavior? Because after all, it's 22 people, all humans, I hope, so far, who are running around a field kicking a ball. Can we predict what's going to happen within those 90 minutes, not 90 plus minutes?
Okay.
That is the biggest question. I think a lot of industry revolution 4.0.
But what
is it-
does that do actually when you predict? Is it will you encourage more of a like gambling thing, or I mean, it's just for fun?
Well, that's the thing. When you predict, I think it looks at all statistics that are provided to you. Past performances, what is the current trend, what is the current between the teams, what is the past results that they've had. Can we take that into account and predict what's going to happen in the next game? You know, we saw, for example, Japan being the first Asian country to beat the South American
And
country
Senegal.
of Colombia. And that was, you know, if a statistical engine we're looking at it, it's highly unlikely. But that's the thing. I think we all watch football because it is a game of emotion more than logic.
Right.
And if it was logical, I think we would go and you know do something else.
Something else.
So a lot of times, I think World Cup is a way for us to not rely so much on the machines. Having said that, we do have the video assisted refereeing system for the
the
first
VAR.
time. Yeah, and the question is, does it help to have computers, technology to assist us in
But my question is, will it take the fun out of watching if you predict too much?
That's what I think. But I wanted to ask you, who do you think the computer predicted?
The winner.
Yeah, I can show you. Actually, the viewers won't be able to see this, but this is for your eyes only. This is actual simulation. And you see the winner is Germany. No matter how many times they actually ran the simulation, Germany always won. if you watch the two games that Germany were playing, they're really far away from world champion form, and they were almost knocked out by Sweden if it hadn't been for
2-1.
the last minute strike. So if you look at the simulation, all of the top teams, Brazil, Argentina, Germany, they're all being placed really highly because they're weighted. They're champions, 4-time World Cup winners or whatnot.
The feelings, I guess.
But I think the great thing about football is it's an emotional game. Meaning to say,
It
on that
is,
day, anyone can beat
That's why I'm
anyone.
being very emotional when you wear that. When I'm supporting Argentina or England. But one more thing, for the non-tech savvy people out there, where can they catch this online?
Okay, the great news is I think we are being shown a lot of games in Malaysia, on TV1 and TV2.
That's
You can go to MyClick, which is provided by RTM.
MyClick.
Yes, and you can actually watch TV1 and 2 online.
Yep.
So whatever games they're broadcasting, you can actually watch it. If you are keen to see every game, also in high definition and whatnot, you can subscribe to the Astro Pack. And if you're not an Astro subscriber, you can actually download the Astro Go app. So if not mistaken, it costs you about 120 ringgit.
for the particular month.
Actually, they give you 3
package.
months, so you get World Cup Plus more. So I think it's a great deal. You can watch every highlight because I know, for me personally, I've just had a baby. I don't know if it's the World Cup or the baby that's giving me bad sleep. But if you have to stay up until 4 o'clock in the morning, it kind of messes up with your routine. So certain matches I would just watch the highlights of. And FIFA TV. So if you just go to YouTube, you just put in FIFA TV. They'll give you all the highlights. And I think they're marvelous highlights.
Isn't
this
there
year.
another one on YouTube as well, or is it?
Well, YouTube is the one. That's the FIFA TV.
That's the
that
FIFA
they're
TV.
putting it on YouTube, and it's
see.
actually not. It's actually a licensed product, so to speak.
And it's live?
Yes. No. The highlights. Just
only the highlights. So
Yeah.
we won't get the the in the time by time kind of thing. So sometimes when you get the highlights, what I do is I don't listen to the radio. When I tape it, I don't listen to the radio because they spoil it. They just say who won, then I won't watch it anymore.
very true.
Right?
I think that's the thing. It's the passion of the good thing about the World Cup. It is live. It's happening somewhere. There's a lot of emotions. The whole world stops for a little while and just kind of looks at what's going on.
Right.
So I predict, if you ask me who's going to win the World Cup, I think Russia this time.
No,
I'm rooting for the underdog.
You're biased again.
Rooting for the underdog. I think because of the home crowd support, you can see how that kind of fuels
Home crowd
them.
advantage is always there.
Oh, it's big. It's big.
I don't think so. I mean, I'm back to differ. This is England.
Could be Belgium too.
Yeah, could be the other 16 teams as well. So that's where prediction, is the name is just prediction. But then again, a lot of things happen on the pitch, within the 90 minutes. That can do, wonders. I mean, sometimes people get, injured and all that. With that, I don't want to go into any more, with you. I think England will win, my last word. So with that, thank you, Carol Corbett or Carol Amin for being with us,
Yes.
for predicting that England will win.
Football is coming home, huh?
Yeah, okay. Okay, with that, my name is Zaini Yohi for Bernama Today.
Hello and welcome to Bernama Today. I'm Tamina Kauji with Zaini Yuhi
the
on
house.
Monday's edition of Bernama Today.
That's right.
So you can also catch us on several other platforms, channel 121 on MyTV, 631 on Unify
That's
TV,
right.
as well as 502 on Astro.
Don't ever miss us anywhere
Exactly.
you go.
So also tweet at us, follow us on Instagram, on Facebook. It's Bernama News Channel on all of these platforms. Tell us more of what you would like to see on the show.
That's right. So
Yeah.
with that, we have lots of things that happened last week. I mean,
Yes.
with the World Cup going on and all that, people are tuned into the World Cup, into the the
People are
football.
literally glued to their screens,
Glued
but
to the
also
screen.
everybody was traveling back to KL
Yeah.
in staggered, amounts.
Don't remind me because it took me 18 hours to come back
Oh
from
my
Kota Baru
goodness.
to KL.
18 hours.
18 long hours, three-quarters of a day.
That's unbelievable. Where did you find the patience, Zaini, to stay calm and collected while driving?
I guess the inner me.
The inner zen. Okay. All right, the inner zen for Zaini. Okay, now moving along, we've got some headlines coming out from
Right.
New Straits Times. So New Straits
Yes,
Times,
this has
the
been
big
talking
news
about it.
is new chiefs for UMNO's 3 wings.
That's right. So we have the Ketua Wanita, Ketua Pemuda, Ketua Putri. So those are not new faces. Those are
Not
people,
new faces,
not new
definitely,
faces.
party familiars.
That's right. Dr. Nurani was the previous, or not the two Putri Wanita, Putri UMNO before, the
That's
head.
right.
And now she's the Ketua Wanita. Dr. Ashraf Azriduski is Kelantanese himself. Has been very, very vocal in the news.
That's right.
Yeah?
So now all we're waiting for, of course, is to see what the party's top post, the presidential post
30th
itself.
of June
That's
is the
right.
D-Day.
That will be a 3-cornered fight.
Three-cornered fight. Khairi Jamaluddin, Dr. Sri Dr. Zahid Namidi, and Tengku Razali Hamzah of course.
Exactly.
Right.
So there, of course, on
Yes,
the screen, we
Dr.
see
Ashraf
our new
Rashdi.
UMNO Youth Chief,
Yes.
having a few words with the media, speaking about his manifesto and his plans to rejuvenate and reinvigorate
Right.
the opposition, Barisan Nasional's youth wing.
And the BN or the UMNO people should think who he can work with the best.
That's right.
As the president.
Exactly.
Right? So maybe his best partner.
True enough. It's
Yeah.
all about creating that political synergy as well to
Synergy is
ensure
the
that
key word.
they are also able to take up the basic issues of the day, which the Rakyat cares about.
Because the I think the youth is very important right now.
Very true. I think
Very,
what
very.
General Election 14 truly showed that if the
youth
youth
has
voice
swung.
is ignored, then definitely the
To your
political
detriment.
party of the day is in detriment.
To your detriment, yeah.
True enough.
Okay, the next one is Siti's 18-hour ordeal. Siti Kasim.
That's right.
Siti
Human
Zabira
rights
Kasim,
lawyer and
human rights lawyer.
activist.
So this just happened because I think she just whisked her client away. But the thing is that she was locked up for 18 hours. And I think the
Now, when you also say she whisked her client away, let's bear in mind that the client is legally an adult.
it's a legal.
So it is
illegal
also
adult, yeah.
about that it's a he says, she says kind of
That's right,
situation
yeah.
whereby the client's own opinion about whether or not she is mentally fit has been disregarded. I think this
That's
truly highlights the type of sexism women in particular deal with, even with regards to attaining not just legal access,
Right.
but also legal rights, which should be
That's
their
right.
fundamental rights as a citizen of Malaysia.
But I guess the police is going on the confining. You know, the act of
The
confining.
police are definitely in the
Yeah.
wrong over here because they were not allowed to remand City.
Yes. Okay. Let's give the legal fraternity some some leeway, I guess, to think this over because this will create a precedent.
Absolutely.
In the legal
I think it
sense.
will set a precedent,
It will
but the
set a
precedent
yeah.
that it only sets is that the police is disallowed from actually detaining anyone
Right.
without sufficient and justifiable
Right.
grounds, which they
And
did not have
yes,
in this case.
Because you did say the client is of legal age.
Absolutely.
Right.
So moving along from there, I think Malaysians are also waiting to see what Home Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin also has to say about this
Right.
issue, because it definitely sets a precedent in all arenas. And what we do want to see in Malaysia Baru is that everybody is able to have the
Exercise their
justifiable
right.
rights.
Exercise the right. So I guess
Exactly.
this will shine the spotlight on the
Very
Kementerian
true.
Dalam Negeri or Home Affairs Minister. So see where this thing will go, and we'll see if the human rights are protected here. I mean, let's put it on debate. Let's put it to debate. See where this thing goes.
The facts are very clear.
The
though.
facts are very
the facts
clear.
cannot be debated.
But as they say in legal terms, there are a lot of loopholes inside. So they can.
The police clearly did not actually have a loophole because they were actually
Right.
disallowed from remanding City. So,
So,
moving along
yeah.
from there to, of course, World Cup season. We are moving into the top 16. So
Yeah.
from the top 16, which are the teams that you're hoping will come up? Or are you rooting for underdogs?
No. I'm not rooting for underdogs. I'm rooting for England and Argentina. But Argentina has not been very good lately.
What do you think is holding back Messi, Zaini?
Usually they say he plays as a team.
That's
you know,
right.
the team players play a big part in his success.
Yeah, he's a fantastic team
Right.
player.
So if the Argentinian do not come up to par, so he can't be the finisher.
He's no Ronaldo now, is
He's
he?
no Ronaldo. Ronaldo is a single player, individual player. But then again, on the not so good news, someone did commit suicide because Argentina did not fare well
That's
in
right.
India. He just jumped into the river, and the body was found yesterday.
All right, so I think, of course, once again, a cautionary to our Malaysian football fans who are also very fanatic.
not go
It
that
is
road.
still just a game, all in good spirits.
not go swimming.
Somebody wins, somebody loses,
Exactly.
right? We all take
that
it in our
spirit.
stride. Yeah,
This is sports. You know, it's
Exactly.
not your life. You know, there is another 4 years after this.
true enough. All right, now moving along from there, so you can also watch the World Cup 2018
Right.
online at Astro,
Right.
new.astro.com.my
Right.
/World Cup 2018. That's one. On RTM as well.
MyClick, myclick.rtm.gov.my.
That's right. And also FIFA TV's YouTube channel. You can just look for it on the YouTube search bar, as well as FIFA websites, fifa.com.
Yeah, all your teams. are
Yeah,
there.
exactly. So I
Watch.
think we don't have to bemoan that, RTM only has the licensing to show about
No, no, no,
28 games, is it? Over the season.
Yeah, they do have all the 64, but the live is about 24 games.
That's right. Okay.
So you can catch it anytime you are, wherever you are.
That's right.
Right.
Now, moving along into some of our top news stories for the day. Basically, what we have for you is, internationally speaking, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, he
Congratulations.
wins Turkey's landmark election just
Right.
yesterday,
Right.
and the country's electoral commission has confirmed this.
Yeah, he's-
So, during a speech to supporters who came out in Ankara in their thousands to congratulate him, he thanked everybody who voted.
Yeah, of course, he will thank everybody, because they say he was in a precarious position.
They did say that,
Yeah.
but you know, the election results don't really show it. 97.7%.
It's not even a swing at all.
Yeah.
It's just remaining with him.
Which makes one wonder, is this going to open up the question of electoral fudging, perhaps?
Not in Turkey, I think, because I think they all love him. It's just the detractors are saying that, he's not doing well.
Exactly.
But yeah.
The detractors cannot be so few in that. So we definitely are going to
Right.
look at this as a developing story,
Right,
rather than just what
Yeah.
world media has been given
That's right.
access to insofar,
That's
which
right.
appears to be a celebratory mood.
you
Because
go.
let's bear in mind that Erdogan has definitely been towing the line between trying to push Turkey towards a more fundamentalist
Right.
political representation.
Yes, and not forgetting the Islamic background of Turkey. That's what he's doing. I think that's why people are rallying around him. The Islamic fundamental kind of thing.
That's right. So definitely a developing news story. But let's
Right.
looking into the political analyst viewpoint on the Turkey election.
Right.
So basically, the country's electoral commission said this will usher in a new system, granting the president sweeping new powers. But now critics are, of course, saying this will cement one-man rule or dictatorship.
Yeah, authoritarian. This is it. Because in any government, they say a good, I guess, opposition is is needed to balance out the powers.
That's right. It has to be a good opposition, else you cannot have a vibrant democracy.
Right, right.
And that's definitely what is currently under pressure in Turkey.
Yeah, because 97% is huge.
Okay, those are just the so-called official results, of
Yeah,
course.
really.
Now, of course, the presidential election and a parliamentary election also held on Sunday, both more than a year early, actually. They complete NATO member Turkey's transition from a parliamentary system of government to a strong presidential system, which is why, hence, the critics have got all their concerns happening in mainstream media.
Right, you're giving the more powers to the president rather than before it was the prime minister, I think.
That's right.
So now the president has all the power. So, I mean, well, let's see how Turkey fares in this, because Turkey, like I think we all know, is a balancing power in the Middle East, where US also training their eyes on them, because before it was Syria being the balancing power, but now Syria is in turmoil. But Turkey is being, in
Turkey still is in the
is
position,
in the position
to swing the
to
gates.
swing. But
That's
we
right.
know Turkey is not a US puppet. They have their own mind, because Erdogan is his own man.
Naturally.
Right.
So, moving along from there, it's time for a quick commercial break. We'll be back right after with our tech expert, Kirill Korbut,
All right.
telling us a little bit about what the latest tech updates are for the week to come.
You want to hear about this? Be right back.
Kia ora, welcome to Air New Zealand.
Hello and welcome back to Bernama. Today you're with me, Tamina Kalshi, and now I'm coming in with our tech expert, in-house resident in a sense, Kirill Korbut, who is with us here today to share with us all about DSLRs versus camera phones. Which is better and why? Now this is definitely a debate which, forms why you're going to be getting yourself a new phone. It generally is for the new camera, but should you be getting yourself a DSLR instead? Let's see what Kirill has to say. Kirill, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
All right, brilliant to have you back in the studio. Hope you had a good Hari Raya holiday.
Yeah, too good, I think.
Too good. Okay, I think that's all of us, right?
Yes,
I think
yes,
this
yes.
just disguises and covers all the new bumps and lumps. But anyhow, getting into, wow, you've got quite the collection here.
Yep.
Okay, so tell me all about it. Personally, Kirill, you appear to have a DSLR as well as, your phone cameras. Which is your go-to, your all reliable?
Yeah, I think today what we want to talk about is generally for a person, a consumer, when they look at phones nowadays they say, oh, this is groundbreaking, this has never been done on a camera phone, it captures the real you, so and such. Can you get away with just using a camera phone and not invest in, let's say, a proper camera system? Because you assume, and anyone who picks up a camera like this, like,
right,
he must be good at taking photos.
Supposedly, right?
Yes, and I think I want to highlight the fact that nowadays, I mean, if you look at phones, I mean, I've just got myself a new phone.
All right. Which one is this?
This is the Samsung Galaxy S9, which I think is, at least for Malaysians, I think it's the best camera phone you can buy, and it's the first phone in its, ever in the world that has a variable aperture. That means just like I can change aperture on a DSLR.
But first and foremost, what does aperture mean?
Okay, it means
for
if you can see
the idiot's guide.
I think it's pretty evident once you look into a lens of a camera.
That's right.
And just like an iris, it can get bigger and smaller.
Correct.
Up until now, smartphones haven't been able to do that. So you cannot take in more or less light. So meaning to say that we've seen technology slowly creeping, it's catching up with what a big camera can do. Because fair to say, the biggest difference is size. If you can see, if I'm going to chug this around with me all the time, it's not just never going to happen. No matter how much I'm going to pack, for a trip and everything, it's still not convenient to lug around a huge DSLR. But something like this is always in your pocket. So,
But at the same time, okay, we've got a picture that we're going to pull out so that you can have a look at it to actually demonstrate. Okay, what do these pictures show us?
That's the whole thing. I mean, one is taken with a DSLR, the other one is taken with a smartphone camera. In this case, it's a Samsung Galaxy S9.
Right.
That goes to show in 2018. You can't really tell them apart if you look at it.
Maybe not particularly, right? Yeah. So what about the professionals? Let's say first you've got the everyday user, Kirill. Now the everyday user would definitely, I think, go for the smartphone with the better specs. But what about the professional who would be using a DSLR for work purposes? Why have they also been turning the tide and actually going to smartphones?
Well, you see, you have to look at what kind of professional. I mean, if you're looking at someone who's a video blogger, for example, I think having a smartphone is almost all you need. It's more about the stage, the set. For example, like we're sitting in the studio right now, we have a lot of lights on us.
We do.
We have a lot of things besides the camera itself. So if you can imagine what a good set looks like, I mean, with your eye, I think you can create that with the technology that you're given. And a lot of times, if you look at the quality of these two that we're seeing now,
that's right.
These are some of the most advanced cameras that we see today, with some processing as well. They can create the conditions that you want without having to invest too much into the hardware. So meaning to say that anyone now can become a blogger, anyone can become a photographer.
A content creator.
Yes, a content creator. So like it's all in the palm of your hand, literally.
Right.
I think the biggest difference with a DSLR and a handphone is that it's just a bit more modular. You can put on flashes, you can change lenses, you can do a lot of things. But as we see with the Samsung, they're bridging the gap slowly. Professional studios, let's say you have a shoot with 15 people.
Okay.
Are you going to use a DSLR or a smartphone camera? I think we're not there yet. People are not confident enough. But I think if we can do a blind test, such as what we did now, you would be surprised at what a smartphone camera can do.
The quality of it, right?
Yes,
now, when it also comes down to daily functionality, a lot of the pictures that we did see used as a comparison, Kirill, were also outdoor shots. Do you have to be some kind of an expert or know all the how-to tips, etc., to make your smartphone camera function as well as a DSLR? Or literally, has it become so easy these days that you just go from factory settings?
Well, I think that's a really good point that you mentioned. I think a good phone as we expect is something
Right.
that takes good pictures just with a, what push of a button. So if I push, boom, it takes a great picture. I think there's a little bit more to that. To be a good photographer or a content creator, you need to have the eye for it. Meaning to say you have to understand what is the story I'm trying to say, what is my theme, what is the feeling I'm trying to convey, and how does my picture then go in tune with that. So you could do that. You could be a bad photographer with a great camera. You can be a great photographer with a really bad camera. So it's not so much on the technology. I think it's your ability to see and capture the moment. With a smartphone camera, of course, it's a lot easier because it's always with you. So if there's a cow running across the street in the middle of a busy traffic, you just go boom and it's there. And you might have missed it with a big camera. You have to take it up, rig it up, fire on, flash working, everything, and it's gone.
True enough, the essence of the moment. All right, so I think you make great points there. We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be back right after, still talking about DSLRs, phone cam, which one is best for you. Stay tuned.
Accurate, legitimate, and packed with information. First on site with reports from across the country and around the world. Be in the know through Bernama News Bulletins. Only on Bernama News Channel.
Hello, welcome back to Bernama Today. Still with me, Tamina, and today we are speaking about smartphone cameras versus DSLRs with Kirill Korbut, our tech analyst and expert. So Kirill, as you were saying, now, what are some of the main do's and don'ts of mobile photography, since we are still on the cam phones for now?
I'd like to say some of the things, the first beginner mistakes they do, they expect every picture to be great. And I think it's a lot to do with training your eye to find a good composition. Composition is something that you can find even without using a camera. You can just look at something and say, wow, that's a good scene.
Looks like a good shot.
This tells a story. So I think it's very important. Even everyone has an Instagram feed, everyone has a Facebook page. Look at your own Instagram feed, look at your own page. What are you trying to say? What is the theme that you're trying to convey? Are you just posting pictures of food all the time, or with you doing stuff, or so how is this helpful to anyone else that is viewing?
Right.
Because we can't be egocentric all the time and say, like, look what I'm doing, but who's really interested? And for it to be interesting, there must be a theme. There must be some kind of inspiration for them. Wow, I like that. I would like to do the same. So if we can be very clear in terms of our objective when we shoot in mobile photography or DSLRs, we start to have a repeating pattern, and that trains the eye. And I think one of the key things that we want to talk about is a DSLR is great for you to capture. I mean, you're investing, you're getting time. You're going out and actually shooting, which means you're training your eye to see certain things, and you can use that same kind of think or the philosophy and then bring it into mobile photography and still get same results. So I think it's a lot to do with what do you want to get out of these gadgets, because it's sort of saying that just because I buy a great phone doesn't mean my photos are going to become great. So that's number one mistake. Second mistake is learn your camera phone. Meaning to say different phones have different settings out of the factory. So some will be great, others would need some tinkering with. There's always a pro mode nowadays, which means that you can go in and override most of the camera's artificial intelligence features.
And actually put in whatever your preferences are.
Correct.
Okay.
And understanding what your phone can do and cannot do gives you room for exploration within those boundaries. Because if you expect certain things, like you said, dark, in a dark space, can I take a great photo?
Exactly.
Well, if you have a budget camera like this, which is good, I mean, I'm not saying in good light conditions.
And which cam phone is this one?
This is the new budget king, I would say. This is an Asus Zenfone Pro M1, which only costs about 600 ringgit. And I mean, you get dual lens camera systems.
That's very affordable.
It's crazy affordable. And I think anyone who's looking to upgrade nowadays, you get a lot of camera for the money.
That's right.
But there's limitations. Meaning
so
to
you were mentioning the dual camera. How does the dual camera system actually work for those who are still not in the know?
Yeah, in certain times it's a gimmick. Certain times it's actually a feature. Like in my other phone, there's only one camera.
Right.
But it's so good that I don't need a second camera. So for example, like bokeh effect, what we're generally simulating is a low f-stop, which means I can get the foreground blurry, and and my face is very clear. You can get that with a good lens, so you don't need a second lens. That's why you've never seen a DSLR with two lenses, have you?
No,
No.
I
So
have not.
so in a way, it's kind of a gimmick, but meaning to say that even for a little bit of money, you can get a great camera nowadays. But I would still advise and play around with the pro mode. Spend some time actively looking at, why is this picture good? Why is this picture bad?
Right.
And then
What
analyzing
draws
it,
me
yeah.
to this
and
picture?
what made you take a good picture? And try to repeat that often until it becomes kind of second nature to you. When you pick up a phone, and just click and wow, great photo. So that's how you get more likes or more followers and whatnot. But it also helps you to tell your story. So you say, what am I trying to say on the social media? Because a lot of times it's just random stuff.
That's
And
right.
if you look back at the years of content you've generated, it's just a trail.
Now, what's the difference between a trail of content, as you say, and the very curated pictorial heavy Instagram feeds which a lot of us follow and love? So how do you go from transitioning to being just something, lots of random things, maybe well taken pictures, to something which is thematic, but still not necessarily changing everything that you do?
Yes, I think there's something that excites you. I mean, what am I
Right.
passionate about? For example, it can be exercise for you. It could be structure for me. I'm looking into
Right.
shapes. So I want to see shapes and everything, and I can correlate different things and say, like, same thing. If I look in fitness, it could be the food that you eat, the way that you exercise, the places that you exercise. So it's always coming back to that same spot. Because if you're just doing random stuff, think about it, everyone's doing random stuff.
Very
So
true.
You're not really setting yourself apart. And I think to spend so much time creating content on social media, at least try to make it useful for other
Be
people as well.
thoughtful.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
in the end of the day, if it's just you got 20 likes and it was your friends, and they do that automatically because they're your friends, so no matter what I post, I still post. So I think it's all about capturing a moment. So if you look at the technology itself, it's there. If you see the picture on the screen now, this picture doesn't say anything.
That's
So
right.
We're not
It's a pretty picture.
yeah, we're no longer comparing, like, okay, can I get a better picture with this phone or with the camera? I think it's the effort we put into creating the content in the first place. Like, what am I trying to say?
Right.
If it takes me zero appliances or gadgets or whatever to set up a really good shot with my mobile phone, then go for it. But if you have the ability to set the stage and get light equipment and everything, then maybe that's the way to go. But
Right. But at the rate that we're going, Kirill, how long do you think it'll be before DSLRs, for example, become fairly obsolete? Or is that already happening in your
Well,
perspective?
I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to use this professionally. I've actually had a chance. I was working
Right.
on a project where I actually needed a camera and I needed a gimbal because I needed to get
Right.
in a really tight space and shoot something, and I couldn't do it with a big camera. So I had to use it, whether I like it or not. So I need something small, like kind of you can go for GoPro or you can go for a camera phone. It's already there in certain instances. You can use it. However, they're releasing new technology, which is just around the corner, literally just around the corner,
Right.
where there's going to be a modular system that, Motorola already has it, but Red, the makers of the professional cameras, the
That's right.
8K cameras,
Correct.
coming out with a phone that's modular, where you can actually clip on a sort of bracket where you can put your Canon, Nikon, or the DSLR lens onto your handphone.
Oh, wow.
So you're
Okay.
marrying the two.
I think that's really, the Red Cams, they're being very progressive by doing that, taking
Yeah,
that
and it's
step.
not going to cost
Huge.
much either. So I think it's time we stop thinking, like, how good of a camera do I need to have? I think, like, cameras like this, I mean, even
So learn how
in
to
low
use
light. Yes,
whatever
it's
camera
more
you
about
have.
training your eye, because in the end of the day, this is something that is purely logical. I mean, it's sequential. It's a machine. But the creativity must come from your right brain. And the machines don't have a right brain. They only have a left brain. They can compute.
Fair enough. Yep.
So it's good that you take classes, you train your eye, watch YouTube videos, look at pictures of others that you like and see what it is about them that you actually like, because everyone has their own preference, right? So
Absolutely.
by being able to see that is already the first step. The beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? So if you can train yourself to see the beauty in everything, then I think you'll live a much happier life as well, instead of saying, oh my God, that's a great Instagram photo, I wish I could do that. And we've seen cases where people actually Instagram celebrities taking stock photography. It was just last week. and
Exactly. I
putting
think
it
we've
onto their
seen more and
feeds.
more of that.
Yeah, because
Right.
people are expecting this, I have pressure on me to create good things. But if it comes from the heart, you don't need to. Like, anything you do becomes, of value to the people that you're showing it to.
Exactly. So that whole perfection mentality. So at the end of the day, let's boil it down to one big point. Why would you still purchase a DSLR, Kirill?
Flexibility. I think
Options, basically.
yes, to build a scene. I mean, I can change so many things inside a DSLR, which are still fairly static on a mobile phone. But a mobile phone is always for your portability. So I think you need both.
Okay, all right. So thank you so much for that, Kirill. I think that's a great roundup of how you can make your pictures speak more than 1,000 words. I'm Tamina Kavji signing off on Bernama today. We'll see you again next time.